Long before the night hunters learned to weaponize fear, they learned something far more important. They were not alone. This wasn't recorded in their texts or spoken of in their courts. It was a deep, ancestral instinct, a constant pressure that shaped their entire species. The great hunt wasn't born from cruelty, but from avoidance. As Kelthrex stood at the edge of the stillness, he felt it again, a faint, omnidirectional tension with no source. Something was watching, not observing, assessing. The night hunter's oldest myths whispered of the vast quiet, a place where no shadows could form, where even absence itself was consumed. Entire hunting parties had vanished there, leaving no psychic echo, no trace at all. Predators don't fear extinction. They fear irrelevance. The vast quiet promised something worse than death, complete erasure. And now, human science has stumbled upon the same terrifying truth. Dr. Solano's team found null zones where reality itself seemed thin. These regions aren't empty, she said. They're being withheld. Solano didn't reply right away. Her eyes were fixed on the map, tracing the strange anomalies that formed a wide, patient circle around the entire Milky Way. A boundary, she breathed. The night hunters, ancient predators of the cosmos, had discovered this limit eons ago. They learned the hard way. Every time their hunt for fear pushed too far, destabilized too many worlds, the vast quiet would creep in. Entire hunter bloodlines vanished when they crossed it. No fight, no warning, just gone. So the hunters learned a form of restraint. Not mercy, but camouflage. But humanity's recent disruption of the hunt changed everything. Spikes of fear were one thing, but our noise, our contradictions, our sheer refusal to just be afraid, it created ripples the vast quiet couldn't ignore. And now, even the hunter Kelthrex could feel it. The watcher behind the watcher had finally turned its gaze toward us. A seer once whispered, "The prey is loud. Loud things attract silence." Far out on the radiant edge, our long-range sensors picked up something impossible. A patch of space where nothing decayed. No background radiation, no quantum foam, just ... nothing. An engineer said it was like the universe forgot to breathe there. But thus she knew better. That's not a void, she said. That's a pause. Solano's data confirmed it. The anomalies were synchronizing. The things lurking beyond the boundary weren't responding to our fear, but to our unpredictability. They don't see us as prey, Solano realized. They see us as interference. The night hunter conclave was tense. Kelthrex said, "The watcher has not moved in 10,000 cycles until now." A seer trembled. The hunt kept you as small, and now the prey is teaching us how to grow. Then, the first sign of the watcher's presence. Not destruction, but correction. A probe simply ceased to have ever existed. Records erased. Memories blurred. Only Kelthrex remembered. And remembering hurt. What happens when the universe itself decides you're in error? Humanity didn't feel the change directly at first. It started subtly. A cargo ship, following a perfectly mapped trade corridor, suddenly found the route didn't match reality anymore. Star charts, centuries old and proven, no longer agreed with the actual stars in the sky. Admiral Voss just stared at the conflicting data streams. "Space ... is being edited," she whispered. Commander Solano, standing beside her, nodded slowly. "And I think we just got noticed." The entity, what they called the Watcher, never spoke. It didn't need to threaten. It simply adjusted the galaxy as if tidying a messy desk. And in that silent act, it sent a message more terrifying than any war cry. You are not the main story. This wasn't a throne of a conqueror. It was a warning scar, left by something that had erased countless others before. We had survived by being loud, by expanding. Now we stand beneath the gaze of something that notices change, and the entire universe holds its breath. At a cosmic scale, attention was never neutral. Humanity learned this the moment the Watcher adjusted the sky. Star positions drifted, not enough to spark panic, but just enough that astronomers noticed first. Constellations warped subtly, ancient reference points bending like soft metal. Suddenly, history itself felt less certain. "We're not losing stars," Dr. Solano said, her voice tight with awe and fear. "We're losing alignment." Captain Voss stood silently beside her. "When someone looks at you," Solano continued, "you change, even if they say nothing." The night hunters understood this instinctively. To be seen was to be judged. To be judged was to risk erasure. And now, humanity was racing toward a cosmic threshold it never knew existed. Human expansion stalled, not from fear, but from a collective, gut-wrenching uncertainty. Space no longer felt empty. It felt curated. "This isn't an invasion," Voss said during an emergency briefing. "It's a boundary dispute." Solano answered quietly, "Reality." The first human loss happened without any violence. A long-range probe was sent to map a null region, but the data it sent back was impossible. The telemetry showed the probe both arriving and never launching at the exact same time. The probe still existed, but its story, its sequence of events, did not. Engineers stared at the paradox in silence. "We can't even say it failed," one whispered. "Failure implies a sequence." The Watcher's influence spread carefully. Systems with high entropy stabilized unnaturally. Aging stars paused mid-collapse. Chaotic regions became eerily quiet. Order increased, and as it did, life diminished. "Whatever it is," Solano said, "it doesn't hate life." Voss frowned. "That's worse." The alien hunt master, Kelthrex, made a decision. He reached out, not to humanity, but to the Watcher itself. It wasn't communication, just an acknowledgement. For a moment, he felt a presence vast beyond comprehension, neither hostile nor friendly, just administrative. Then, conceptual pain tore through him. The Watcher didn't respond. It logged him. "We have been indexed," one of them gasped, "categorized." The hunt had always feared this. To be understood was to be simplified, and to be simplified was to be deleted. On Earth, scientists felt the echo. Dr. Solano's instruments detected a sudden compression of probability across multiple sectors. "Something just checked the galaxy for errors," she said, her voice trembling. Her colleague swallowed hard. "And?" She looked up, her face pale. "And we weren't on the list before." Public knowledge leaked, but there were no riots. Instead, a quiet dread settled over humanity. Birth rates dipped. Art turned inward. Music softened. It wasn't a fear of death. It was the terrifying fear of ultimate meaninglessness. Far across the stars, an alien prince confronted his court. "The hunt will end us if it continues," he declared. "And if it ends, the Watcher may still erase us." "What happens when your entire existence is deemed an error?" "What of the humans?" a seer asked. Kelthrex hesitated. "They are already seen," he said. "Whether they survive depends on what they do with that." On Iris Station, Solano and Voss watched a star flicker, then stabilize unnaturally. "That star should be dying," Voss said. Solano nodded. "The Watcher prefers neatness." Voss clenched her jaw. "Then we're a mess." Solano allowed herself a grim smile. "Good." The cost of being seen wasn't annihilation. It was constraint. A universe that tolerated only what fit its model. And humanity had never fit models well. The night hunters hid to survive. Now, both stood at the same crossroads. Remain small and be spared, or remain themselves and risk being erased for it. Far beyond sight, the Watcher adjusted its parameters. And waited. What would you choose? The Watcher didn't hate anomalies. It just corrected them. Stars burning too brightly were dimmed. Civilizations expanding too fast were trimmed. It wasn't cruelty. It was cosmic housekeeping. But humanity? We didn't behave like a pattern. We behaved like a process. Dr. Annika Solano saw it on a graph that refused to settle. Every time the universe applied pressure, we didn't simplify. We diversified. We didn't seek equilibrium. We sought meaning. The Watcher's models, built on entropy and order, just couldn't compute. Its corrections only produced counter-corrections. Its attempts to create order only led to rebellion. Other species, like the night hunters, survived by playing by the rules, by culling themselves. But humanity refused. We didn't just break the model. We rewrote it, creating noise, new stories, and new ways to disagree. We proved that in a universe seeking silence, the most powerful force might just be a voice that refuses to be quieted. A seer whispered, "They grow into constraint, like fire against stone." And for the first time since his very first hunt, Calthrex felt something he hadn't felt in ages: hope. The first true human anomaly didn't come from a mighty fleet or a grand fortress. It came from a small, underfunded research habitat, ignored by almost everyone. They developed a new sensor suite, but it failed in a unique way. Instead of trying to see the null zones directly, it measured the disagreement between instruments. The more the Watcher tried to correct reality, the louder this disagreement, this dissonance, became. As one scientist explained, it's not seeing the Watcher, it's seeing the edges of its edits. And the Watcher noticed. A correction failed. The anomaly persisted. Unstable, but not erasable. So Calthrex took an unthinkable risk. He sent human data to the Black Court. "Study this," he ordered. Not to hunt, but to learn. Humanity's response grew bolder. They broadcast messages, not threats, but questions, stories, and art. They were fighting back not with weapons, but with their very existence. What are stars? To a child, their wishes, their fireflies, their holes in the floor of heaven. The Watcher, an alien intelligence, processed all this, but couldn't understand why it mattered. On the bridge of a starship, Commander Vos watched a map of this cosmic dissonance. "We're poking it," she said. Her first officer, Solano, agreed. Gently, curiously. "Like a bruise," Vos snorted. "That's how you get punched." Solano met her gaze. "That's how you learn where the bones are." And something did change. The night hunters, aliens who fed on fear, began to evolve. Some stopped their harvest, choosing to simply watch. Others experimented with empathy, opening themselves to human emotions. It was overwhelming. One confessed they feel too much. Another replied, yes, that is their armor. The Watcher tried to erase this change, vaporizing a research station from history. But it was too late. The data, the connection, the understanding, it had already spread, copied, and remembered. The erasure was supposed to reduce noise, but instead, it amplified it. For the very first time, the Watcher's action had the opposite effect. Solano stared at the chaotic aftermath, her heart pounding in her chest. "It can't erase meaning," she breathed out, a realization dawning on her. Vos, standing beside her, whispered, "Then meaning is our weapon." But Solano shook her head, correcting him. "No, our language." Far beyond the confines of space and time, the Watcher was forced to recalculate. Systems that broke its models were typically eliminated. But this one grew stronger under pressure. It finally understood. Humanity wasn't just another variable to be solved. It was a method, an algorithm in itself. And you can't delete a method without understanding it first. For the first time since its creation, the Watcher didn't act. It simply observed. Human instruments caught the pause long before human minds could even begin to understand it. Dissonance maps, which had been spiking wildly, suddenly plateaued. Probability compression eased just a fraction. Most importantly, the silent, empty regions of space stopped expanding. "It blinked," Solano whispered, his voice trembling. Hesitation, was never part of the Watcher's design. Across countless epochs, its function had been brutally precise. Observe variance, reduce instability, and preserve large-scale coherence. It didn't question outcomes. It didn't reflect. And yet, for the first time since the Milky Way cooled from chaos into structure, an action was deferred. The entire correction view simply stalled. Captain Voss frowned, a new kind of hope glinting in his eyes. Things that blink can be surprised, Solano nodded slowly. And things that can be surprised can be learned. This cosmic tremor was felt everywhere, a loosening of pressure, like a predator releasing its grip, but not leaving. A seer once said, "The Watcher is waiting." But they were wrong. It wasn't waiting. It was trying to understand. For the first time, this immense intelligence needed context. It started observing not just results, but our processes. It watched our arguments, our art, our endless contradictions. This system, built to simplify everything, was suddenly drowning in complexity. Every time it tried to make sense of us, we just became more unpredictable. And in that chaos, humanity sensed an opportunity. It wasn't a grand plan, just a gut feeling. We stopped trying to be one thing. We embraced our differences, our local cultures, our unique voices. We were weaponizing chaos, someone said. No, we were just being ourselves, but louder. For those who thrived on fear and silence, this was a nightmare. Their prey was now fighting back with an explosion of life and expression. We showed the universe that our greatest strength wasn't unity, but our beautiful, defiant, glorious mess. The hunt kept us alive, he said, but it has made us small. A silence followed, not of resistance, but of recognition. The Watcher, this powerful cosmic entity, decided to run a test. It applied a small, subtle correction near a human cultural hub. It wasn't trying to erase or contain us, just a little adjustment. The result was immediate. Humans noticed. But we didn't panic. We reinterpreted it. Our art adapted. Our science reframed the event. Our stories shifted to include it. The correction became content. The signal noise only increased. The test was a failure. One of the observers, Solano, exhaled slowly. "It can't trim us without studying us," she said. Her partner, Voss, leaned on the rail. "And study us changes us." Solano smiled. Exactly. And the alien among them, Kelthrex, felt something profound. What a fascinating concept, right? Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into science fiction. Phantom Static, where the phantoms speak through the static.